I am super excited for this next interview with our Division A winner for the 2023-2024 Calgary Battletech League, Jeff. Stay tuned to listen to this awesome conversation.
Okay, we're sitting here with Jeff, who is the Division A champion of this year. Jeff, tell us how your match went.
Oh, the match. I can say that Jared's lance was very well built and very challenging to play against. That match could have went either way. At the very end of it, I got really lucky. Took a Daishi's leg off and it fell over, and that was kind of the beginning of the end at that point in time. While playing him, I had to use the terrain to my advantage because of his range and reach, so I was trying to keep stuff hidden as much as I can during the advance towards him. Elementals, I'm never concerned about elementals with my lance. It kind of is designed just to destroy elementals, and that's what it does. But that Daishi was putting out damage like crazy. The final turn of that match, my Fafnir lost a left torso, a left arm, and a left leg all at the same time. Right before the Daishi bit it. So, like I said, that match could have gone either way at any point in time, and the dice landed in my favor at the end of it. It was a very well played match. Jared played his lance to its strengths, and I tried to play mine to mine. Ultimately, it ended up in my favor, and it was a fantastic, bloodshed of a game for sure.
For out of the games in the finals that had clans, yours was the only one that the clans didn't win.
That's it. Like I said, it could have gone either way. My lance does very well versus clans, just because the clans' big benefit is they have long range and they have generally usually have pretty good heat management to fire all that big damage weaponry. My lance with the plasma rifles applies heat, makes you have to mitigate what you're firing without risking, shutdowns or penalties to firing and stuff like that. So that's one of the main reasons why I did so well. I played a lot of clan players this season, and one of the reasons why I was able to do as well as I did against them, it wasn't about doing as much damage as possible to them or catching them off guard. It was about making them do less damage to me, because they have to pick and choose what they're going to fire in order to not have to start taking penalties from heat.
You were saying that your lance was made to deal with the elementals and stuff in the heat. And I was trying to think, if we keep clans for next year, what is something building a lance to go up against clans? I don't know if I want to play clans because I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Because I do like my quads. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't know if they have quads with clans, but I've really enjoyed using my quads this year.
Later eras, the clans do have quads. I'm not sure if we have any in the players pack this year. I'd have to double check, but there is a couple clan quads. I think it's called the Thunder Stallion or something like that, is one of the ones that Hellas Horses made.
Yeah.
But you're asking about ideas for building lists versus clans?
Yeah. You had really good success against clans this year. And considering you're the only one out of the 4 games, 3 of them had clans played and 2 of the clans won. It's only your game that the clans didn't win. So I'm wondering, what did you do when you were looking at building your lance and using your spends? What kinds of things did you do to try and counteract those clans?
For me, when I build the lance towards my playstyle, JP has a very similar playstyle to me, which is a very mobile yet defensive playstyle. So you want to be able to have a good defensive modifier and get where you need to be. So I built my lance based around that concept of, I want to be able to be mobile. I want to get where I need to go and how I want to do it. For other players, you got to build it to what your advantage is. There's lots of players that like that. I'm going to sit back at long range and snipe you. For example, Aaron, his Warhawk was devastating. Jared's Direwolf, Gary's Direwolf, devastating, because they built their lance based off their style of play. I'm not going to take a movement modifier to hit rolls, because I'm going to sit back here and shoot you from afar with long range and high damage weaponry. My play style is more, I want to be mobile. I want to be closing. I joke around, I call it the ABCs of Mech Warrior, always be closing. So for me, that's a big part of my play style. I want to take that advantage away. Their advantage is I'm going to sit back at range and not have a movement modifier to my, or movement penalty to my firing. My play style is I want to be in your face so you don't have that advantage. Because if we're both at short range and neither of us are moving at that point in time, nobody has the advantage anymore. So when it comes to lance design, build to your strengths, build to your play style, and know your faction tech. That's a big factor in it. You know, if you're going to pick Capellans, you probably want to play with some stealth armor. You probably want to play with some plasma rifles. If you're going to pick clans, well, you probably want to play with some of their fancier tech like ATMs. Those things are devastating. Or the ER pulse lasers, or, you know, say knives. Precision ammo and light ACs are a beautiful combination. You just gotta, like I said, play to your factions text and play to your skill style, right, or your play style. So if I was to rebuild a lance, I would look at what the faction techs are. If I'm going to play with a C3 lance, I'd want to play with as much C3 to start with that's in my lance. I'd want as much of it linked to begin with, so that way I'm not spending my skill spends on trying to get my mechs to be all integrated in that C3 or C3I formation. When it comes to skill spends, once again, you kind of got to look at the designs of your mechs or what you're going for. For example, my Scorpion this year, I went in, I took a Scorpion because I really wanted to play with a quad mech, and I wanted to play with a Scorpion because everybody says they suck. When I did my engineering request on my Scorpion, I knew I wanted it to jump, because that was a big thing that my lance, when I originally built it, did not have. It had no jumpers at all. So I wanted my Scorpion to be able to jump 6. Jumper that's that mobile is a big deal for me. Eventually, I chassis swapped out of my Cataphract into another mech that could jump 6. So I had my 2 forward mechs that could get into position faster, while my other 2 mechs that moved 4-6 and 3-5 basically ran for the first 3 turns to get where they were going, use cover to your advantage, that kind of thing. So when I was planning my skill spends, I knew I wanted that, so I made sure I had that ability. I also knew with the quads that they have more stability. They're going to stand a little bit better. I knew I wanted to make my quad a kicking machine, so I went towards having Berserker Rage with it. I didn't worry about a gunnery skill on it because that wasn't the purpose I was going to use that mech for. That mech was literally there to get beside something and then try to kick it twice. So you kind of got to analyze what the mechs are you're taking and what your purpose is going to be for them while you're playing, like what your plan is for your skill spends. So if you're going to be playing a quad that you want to be in there kicking, for example, if you were to take, let's say, a Xanatos, that's I believe it's a 100-ton quad, if I remember correctly, and you wanted that thing to kick twice, well, that's a lot of kick damage. That's 40 points of damage worth of kicks coming in on a turn, right? So you build your lance to do that, to be able to get into position, to be able to do that kind of damage, and hopefully it benefits you by doing it. My T-Sang, when I had it, I knew I wanted it to be able to shoot, but it also has a melee weapon. Well, Courage, even though it has that negative of -1 defensive modifier, it gives me benefits to both my shooting and my melee. It was a no-brainer for me to take that. It's a nice cheap skill spend. So when you're, like I said, you kind of got to plan your skill spends to what your purpose for that mech is going to be. If you have a mech that's going to be running, let's say, 3 LRM-15s, for example, well, maybe you want that to have favored weapon. Maybe you don't. Maybe it has a bunch of other weaponry that you don't want to take the negatives on for having favored weapon. So you look at that, okay, I need 6 points instead of 4, right? Know what your plan is for the mech, and then build your skills around what your purpose for each individual mech is, and then trying to make them be a cohesive unit to do what you need to do according to your play style. That's probably the best advice I can give. And I know that was probably pretty long-winded, but...
Hey, when you open the Painter Knowledge Pit, you kind of expect a little bit of verbal diarrhea. Kind of the way it goes.
It's great having people who have that much knowledge, who can teach the new guys.
Well, and there is so much knowledge in this community and within the CBL League as well. Years and years and years of playing this game for a lot of us. All of us are very approachable about it. JP is fantastic for it. If you want to talk Battletech and different ways to do things, Jeff, myself, Lee, Brett, John. Like there's a tons of guys out there that have a massive quantity of experience, and we'll gladly sit down and talk BattleTech, right? Kind of a passion for most of us. So
Well, and that's the nice thing, really. Like I look at it like we have some new or newer players, at least people who aren't used to playing in a league like this, or even in a league, right? Like they might play a game here or there. Having the knowledge base and being willing to chat, and even the conversations in some of the Discord channels, there's areas where you think, oh yeah, no, I know what I'm doing, but then someone talks and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, or I never thought of it that way, or whatever. It's just really nice. I like how our community, the BattleTech community in Calgary in general, but just like the CBL community has just grown in the last few years, and just the connections that we've made and the conversations I've had, like doing the interviews with the guys, has just been kind of cool, because they'll say something, or they'll like what you're talking about, the building a kicking machine with a quad. I'm like, sure, that might be a good idea, right?
yeah. Well, and one of the other things too is sometimes, like for example, and JP and we talk a fair bit, or Jeff and I will talk or whatever, and we'll bounce ideas off each other, right? So I might say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this skill spend on this mech. And one of the most common questions, or JP might say the same thing to me, or Jeff, or whatever, whoever you're talking to. But one of the most common things that you'll get from the guys who've been playing for a long time is, well, why do you want to use that skill on that mech? And for some people, like JP is a very big advocate for gunnery over a lot of the other subsect of gunnery skills, because why would you give up, that 1+1 to hit, or that one better to hit number on your other weapons just because you have more of this one particular weapon? For example, like favored weapon versus gunner, or target lock versus gunnery. And there's points in time where target lock's a good one to take, and there's points in time where it isn't. So for example, if you're taking target lock on a mech that has under 6 weapons that you are going to reliably fire every turn, I wouldn't suggest it, and I don't think JP would either. If target lock relies on you making sure you hit with 1, odds are, even on like 8s, you're probably going to hit with 1 of those 6 shots, right? If there's pulse weaponry involved, well, now it's even harder, because you got to get a hit with half of the pulse weaponry. So you kind of got to weigh the balances. So when you come to somebody, like I said, when you come to somebody who's got a lot of that knowledge, one of the first questions they're going to ask you is, well, why do you think that skill for this? And when you give them your reason, be like, okay, well, here's what we think, or here's what I think might be a better choice. I understand what you're saying, but maybe look at this skill as well. When you draw on that wealth of knowledge that is available within this league, it gives you the ability to maybe see something you didn't see prior, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fielding questions and having them go, well, why do you think that is? It's a good way to get different perspectives.
Well, it's also so that way the person who is trying to learn thinks out the reasoning behind why, and then they might hear something else and go, oh, I never thought of it that way. So it's
I know I've done it.
Well, and that's the thing, right? And that's how you learn. That's how you learn anything, especially with the style of format we have with the skill spends and stuff like that. There's a lot of skills that go unrecognized, and they're fantastic. Like a lot of the initiative manipulating skills and stuff like that people don't think to take, or things like Berserker. A lot of people don't think to take it as well. I think I'm the only person that took it this season. Sometimes having that idea to bounce off of somebody it opens your eyes to different things you didn't see, or didn't even look at it, like didn't notice in the package. So some of those skills get kind of outshone because you hear, oh, well, so-and-so took this, so-and-so took this, and so-and-so took this. Well, that must be a really good skill. So you try to find out, you read that skill, and you're like, well, where can I use that in my lance? But if you bounce that idea off somebody else, and might be like, hey, that might not be the right skill for your lance. Maybe look at this one instead. So I definitely say, for anybody who's newer to the league, I mean, all of us are more than willing to sit down and talk with you. We're usually there at least till 4 every day, sitting there for an extra half an hour to an hour. And if you ask the questions, most of us old timers will try to guide you as much as possible, or give you different possibilities that you could look at. Ultimately, it's always going to be your decision, but it's a good way to open your eyes to different things that you might have missed.
Yeah. Well, you keep saying old timers. How long have you been playing BattleTech?
Since, oh God, 90, I want to say 91.
Jeez, we were 9, Laura.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was It was funny because it was actually military that got me to play BattleTech, because one of my best friends growing up, a guy named Nathan, his older brother who was in the military, came back from his basic training with BattleTech, the original, like that box set that came out in the 90s, the early 90s there, late 80s, early 90s. He came back. It's the one that had like the paper cutouts and the first little plastic wasp. And yeah, he was obsessed with it, and he made me and his little brother sit down and learn to play it with him. And then Nathan and I introduced it to our friends Dave and Mike, and we had this little group in high school, about 5 of us, that we basically played every day at lunchtime for years. And then on weekends, if we went over to each other's houses, if we'd play, like, it was either Magic the Gathering, D&D, or BattleTech, or all three. Like, yeah, we were gaming nerds from a very early age. And I mean, when you're a kid that grew up watching Robotech, BattleTech was a natural progression of a game to get into. And yeah, it's I don't know, giant stompy robots that go pew pew is amazing, and it always will be.
Pew pew. I love that. Lee makes fun of me whenever I say that for lasers. He's like, they don't make that sound. I'm like, yes, they do. Pew pew.
If Star Wars has taught us anything, lasers go pew pew.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking at your experience with CBL, this is your second year, I know. What was like your highlight of the year, your favorite opponent, or like what's the one thing that stands out from this year?
Oh,
I love stumping them.
yeah, it's a good question, because I don't really have games that I disliked playing or anything like that. All my games were really good. I enjoy it. It's something I look forward to every second Sunday during the time that we run League, that 8-month period. I love it, and it's something that I very much enjoy. Years ago, when I first met JP was years ago, and he was telling me about Battletech League and all this other stuff. And he's like, you should come out and try, because I told him I used to play. At that point in time, I hadn't played in a couple of years, right? And he's like, no, you should come out, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And it took 10 years for me to actually come and find the Battletech League and actually join you guys and play. But this year, for highlights, in all honesty, Matt just headshotting everything of mine that one game. It was frustrating, but it's one of those things that's memorable. I was like, you mother... Excuse my language, but how do you have so many horseshoes crammed up your ass right now? Like, it was crazy. That was kind of a highlight. Losing a game being a highlight, and it was kind of odd, but it's definitely something that sticks out in memory. And that's one of the reasons why I like BattleTech so much, is you have memories as opposed to, like, oh, I remember this about this game. This was crazy. In season 1, it was playing Paul, because I was not expecting the crazy stuff that man does. And it was a lot of fun. Losing to Matt this season, during my very first game of the season, being against a buddy of mine that I brought in, Corey, and having his sad cat overheat from plasma damage and blow itself up. That was another kind of, oh wow, I got to see a fireworks show in my first game. That was kind of cool. I don't know. All the games were really good. If I was to pick any one particular one, it's hard. But yeah, I had a lot of fun playing everybody. So yeah, highlights of the year, just being part of the community. It's the easiest thing I can say, because it was all good. Even all the crazy amounts of rescheduled games and stuff like that. It was good. I enjoyed it all.
Often, not even often, I swear, every conversation we have with anybody, it's the community. And I completely agree, because if you don't feel welcome, if you don't feel like it's a good investment of your time, why would you be involved?
Exactly. And I don't know, the communities... Everybody is generally really friendly, really good. They're there for the same reason that everybody else, love of playing this game. And it's a reason to be able to go out and play random matches with random people. And almost anybody who's going to play this style of game has some background in, RPGs or video gaming or something like that. And it doesn't matter if you're if you're from that kind of a background, you're also going to be looking at, I don't know, for me, a big part of the reason why I love League so much is the skill points and stuff, because you have a constant evolution of your lance. You're always gaining new skills, you're gaining new little perks and tweaks, just like in an RPG when you go up a level, right? You get your, oh, I got this new ability, I can't wait to try it out. Or whenever you're playing a video game and you just got that new special weapon or whatever it is that you just picked up, like you're playing in Zelda and you get your, your new weapon or whatever. It's a big thrill because you're excited because you just got that. So that's a big part of it. And then you're also getting able to experience that with your friend who you're playing, or the person that you've never met before playing across the table, who's also excited about his fancy new little thing that he gets to do with his lance. So it's that ability to progress and still have fun with your friends. And yeah, it's a good format with a good community behind it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's playing against people but playing against those other people is really nice. But I was thinking about your game, and I was looking at the notes that you guys wrote, and I had to ask, Elementals cooked. You guys wrote that as a special note. I needed to ask, what is that about?
So plasma rifles do obscene things to infantry. That's basically what that's about. That was a turn where 4 plasma rifles hit 1 infantry squad. It does the 10 damage from each one of the plasma rifles, and then each plasma rifle does 2d6 heat damage as well, and it's all done in 5-point clusters. Basically, you're looking at 60, 70 damage coming through on on a unit that can only take 55. So it's 1 turn fire and they go away.
Okay.
That's why I said all season long I kept saying, yes, I love clan players and their elementals. Thank you for my free point.
So if we go up against clans next year, take plasma rifles.
They help.
Got it. Flamers would work too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of little things you can do with them. Elementals, they're scary. They can be scary, but ultimately it's 55 points. The issue is you got to random roll what you're going to hit, right? So you can mitigate, not mitigate the elementals, but there's different ways of dealing with them. Either it's overwhelming fire, or you take something, and when I say fire, I mean like overwhelming, I'm going to shoot all of these things at this till that goes away. If you're going to deal with your elementals, you kind of got to deal with them within 1 or 2 turns. Or because if they're that close, you don't want them getting closer. It's kind of the way it works. So yeah, the elementals, plasma rifles do bad things to elementals. That's basically the reason why that note is on there.
Fair. So I did want to ask you about one other thing specifically about your game. How the heck did your Scorpion kill all 3 of his mechs? And nothing happened to him. I was like, okay, well,
nothing happened. That thing was beat all to heck by the end of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah. It was beat all up. There was multiple armor. We've gone internal in a couple locations. At the end of it, he had a gyro hit. I was missing 2 jump jets. He was badly beat up. Don't get that wrong. It's just he was in the right place at the right time with the right initiative well, I shouldn't say right initiative, but he was the guy doing the kicking. And when you got a couple mechs laying down and they start eating kicks, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what that was about. For example, his glass spider, I shot it. Forget what mech shot it, but I shot it and double gyroed it in the same turn. Went internal, got 2 crits, hit both gyros. It fell over, so my Scorpion walked over and kicked it till it was dead.
Yeah, that was the other note. Scorpion kicked the glass spider in the face. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, he was laying down. I actually rolled the head hit with the kick while he was in Berserk Rage, which is a 13-point kick. And this was after this thing was basically needed to have a soft breeze blow on its center torso to die. And I ended up taking the head off it. The day she lost a leg to, I think it was the Fafnir, and then the Scorpion walked over and finished it off with kicking. The Fafnir killed the elementals. That little ice ferret in that game was, it got too close too quick, and it ate a ton of damage. It should have been dead on turn 3, but somehow I failed to roll any crits or anything, and I spread the damage out all over the place. So he's basically running around with no armor on most of his locations for the next, I think it was 11 turns or 10 turns, something like that, before I finally got into range with the Scorpion to take him out. And the Scorpion actually did that with a PPC shot to the center torso, if I remember correctly. That wasn't even a kick.
Oh, that's... Yeah, I was like, holy, this Scorpion is massive, or I don't know if it's massive, but it's definitely mean if it can take out 3 of the mechs.
Yeah, little 55 tonner put in work for me that game. Most of the rest of the season, it might have averaged 1 kill every other game, but this particular game, it did what I designed it to do, and it did it well.
Did its job. We got it. We got it. Yeah. You've talked about playing a lot of board games and BT that you've been playing for almost longer than I've been alive. What are some other things that you like to do when you're not playing Battletech?
Oh, I DM'd Mech Warrior games. We play a lot of, or like, I shouldn't say a lot of, but we do play RPGs. I have an RPG group on basically every Saturday, 2 different groups that I play with. One of the groups, IDM, and another guy DMs, and we switch back and forth basically every other month. We each get a little break to write our plot line out. And then we run our plot line for that next bit, and then the other guy takes over, and then we go back and forth like that. So you get to be a player for a bit, and you still get to run a game as well. And then the other game I'm playing in right now, which is a kind of a new addition, I started playing the Vampire the Masquerade RPG with another group, which is my first time ever playing it. So it's pretty neat. I used to do a lot of painting. I've kind of backed off that a little bit lately just because of life and work and everything else. But those things are starting to finally calm down, and I'm looking to get back into painting stuff again. I play video games on occasion. It's not something that I'm huge into, but every now and then, like once every couple months, I'll sit down for a couple of hours and play video games for a bit. And then other than that, I spend a lot of time with my dogs. So pretty calm.
Hey, this can be hobbies. Why not?
Yeah, they're pretty great.
Okay, Laura, do you have anything else you want to ask, or?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. Will you be coming back next year?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, what are you looking forward to or hoping happens?
What am I hoping happens?
Hoping for or looking forward to the most, or an opponent you didn't get to play this year that maybe you get to face at the table next year?
I didn't get to play Paul this year. I got to play him my first year. I'd love to play Paul Crooks again. I always enjoy games with Paul. It was a good time. I didn't get to play Lee in either of these last 2 seasons, so I'd love to get to play Lee at the table. And I haven't played either of you ladies yet, so I'd love to have the opportunity to do that next year as well.
I thought I played you last year.
No.
No?
You played Jay last year.
Oh, yeah, I did play. No, I played Jay this year.
And the year before.
Mm-hmm.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good thing you pay attention, because I guess I don't.
Yeah, other than that, I look forward to trying a new faction out and seeing what I can come up with and how I do. It's always fun. I also look forward to this year. My buddy Jay came back. He joined us last year. My buddy Corey joined us this year. I had another friend who joined us, but he had to leave due to personal reasons in life. Middle season, unfortunately. He's talked about possibly coming back, but I told him to make sure you're ready to do the commitment. You can't do the commitment, don't join and drop out, because it kind of screws everything up for the year when you do that, right? I look forward to coming back, and I'm glad I have friends that are excited to come back. I have made new friends in League. We had nice growth this year, and it was great. I'm hoping a lot of those guys those guys enjoyed it as well and want to come back. And a lot of them did very, very well this season too, right? So hopefully they had fun and they come back as well. It's always great to see, everybody come together and enjoy this game that a lot of us have been playing for a lot of years, and a lot of people are just discovering now, right? So yeah. I look forward to seeing what we get to actually come up with next year.
Yeah, I think I have no idea what changes or what things I might be looking at, but I'm looking forward to seeing how things keep evolving. And congratulations again on your win, Jeff. I wish we'd been able to watch, but BattleBabe 2 and I were taking each other on, so.
Yeah, the only time we get to play across the table is fun games.
Yeah.
How did your game go?
Depends who you ask.
Who came out on top of that game? How about that?
BattleBabe won, but we had to look at damage to mechs because it was like a 0-0 tie.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was, I think, I gave her 109 points of damage or something, and she gave me close to 200. No, other way.
I had a mech critical.
Oh, wow.
Missing a couple arms and couldn't stand up or something, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
wow.
was technically, it would have been a tie according to the rules, but not technically. I won.
Yeah, that's, at least you guys got to play, right? So that's good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I actually, one of the things I'm looking forward to for next year for sure is to see, this year League grew quite a bit. I look forward to seeing if it grows again next year, right? It's really neat to watch that community keep getting bigger. And I know that a lot of people are coming in from I like to refer to it as tabletop refugees. But for example, like when I started with BattleTech, I eventually evolved into Warhammer and stuff like that, other tabletop games, ultimately coming back to BattleTech because it's just for me, it was, you're not dealing with the constant power creep and stuff of these other games. And we're starting to see, there's a lot of people just discovering BattleTech and going, you know what, this is a way simpler rule set. It's not so complicated. It's not got a constant power creep. I don't got to keep buying new models over and over and over again and rebuilding everything and rebuilding my entire list again. So we're seeing a lot of people starting to discover BattleTech because they're getting frustrated with the way other companies are running their games. So I like seeing that because those people come in with different ideas for tactics and stuff like that from playing those other tabletop games. So we're seeing an influx of people coming in, and we're getting, like, the community itself is growing, and having them join League and stuff like that is also promoting it as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we end up for next year, like for membership and growth and stuff like that, because it's always neat to watch those numbers come up, right? To watch the community get bigger and bigger and more people enjoy this game that, like I said, a lot of us have been playing for over 30 years, right?
If it keeps growing, Brett and Lee might have to run one Lance, and maybe that'll be how they get to the A-side final.
Wait, they work together? That's not going to help.
Well, no. One play one week, one play the next week.
Yeah.
So there's always one admin available. So we'll see if that happens, but...
Well, one of the things I can say from this year, because I got to, help out with the podcast, and I got to, help with overseeing the makeup games and stuff like that, is there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people aren't aware of. There's a lot of effort that gets put into running this, and you got to give kudos where they're due to Brett and Lee for shouldering this, for getting this running again. I know the league's been around for longer than they've been running it, but the current iteration of it is them taking that responsibility and making it happen. And I know there's support people like, Jeff is helping, you guys are helping out, everybody's kind of chipping in a little bit, but ultimately there is a lot that goes on. So I'd like to give a little recognition to everybody because I've got to witness it this year, just how much goes on, and let them know that it is appreciated. And I'm sure that the community that is enjoying playing in League feels the same. So ultimately, thanks, guys. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be actually able to be involved in it and to play in it. And actually, winning this season was pretty cool as well. So thanks for everything.
For sure. Definitely thanks to everybody who's doing the behind the scenes stuff. And thank you, Jeff, for playing another year. Congratulations again. Thanks for coming on and chatting with the two of us. And good luck next year.
My pleasure, and good luck to you people too, and everybody else.
Yeah, look forward to playing you next year, hopefully.
Yeah, that's got to happen eventually, right?
Yep.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, ladies, and we'll talk to you soon.
Well, that was our final interview. Congratulations to all the division champions this year. Hard-won battles. Fantastic season. Thank you to everybody who joined us for all 4 episodes. And please stay tuned for our next Battle Babe book talk. We are getting back to it, we promise.
Yeah, I need to read these books. I've been devouring other books, waiting to read these and get back to it. So I am super excited, and I can't wait to actually get back to that conversation and see how many more ridiculous references we can make, like Danny DeVito's and Peter Dinklage's.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we could find other vertically challenged people to compare things to,
or non-vertically challenged. That would be cool.
We could do Andre the Giant.
Yeah, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So come back, join us again. We'll be back soon, just because it's fun, and you'll have to find out what we decide to compare next.
Have a fantastic evening, and we will talk to everybody next time.
Yeah, ciao.